Hey, how's it going, guys? Phil here. So, this is going to be take two of this video, because it turns out that the message I'm trying to really push in this video is a little bit hard to convey. So, I'm going to give this a second try, and if it doesn't work out, then, we'll just keep on trying until we feel like we got our point across. Um, Hello. This is a HS replay, replay file of a match of Undertaker Taunt Druid versus Odd Warrior. This match was one that was shown in the Heroic Tavern Brawl video, which I did, and we completely threw. And so, Undertaker Taunt Druid is a newer list. It has a lot of little intricacies that you wouldn't exactly think about, initially. And it's one of these situations that came up that, made us take a 90% win rate matchup and just completely throw the game. So against Odd Warrior, um, Undertaker Druid has literally infinite value because you can, set up your Undertaker with two Astral Tigers and a Hadronox to get you infinite taunt boards basically every turn. Um, this is, a very good matchup for you because Warrior will just eventually run out of resources. This person's list only ran three AoEs, so two Brawl, one Reckless Flurry, unless, one was never seen. That's also a possibility with how the HS replay files work. Essentially, though, Odd Warrior will run out of AoE to your infinite boards, because with Undertaker, shuffling in two copies with Astral Tiger every time, you can get infinite Undertakers. And even though Odd Warrior's a deck which runs double Owl, you, in a perfect world, are able to play around Silence very, very effectively. Um, you're able to play around both Transform effects and Silence with this deck really easily, and with this newer list, like, there's resources which were in both this list and the old Witching Hour cube lists that serve different purposes now that the deck has changed around quite a bit. And that's essentially what I want to make the main point of this video, is explaining how to most efficiently use all of your resources as Taunt Druid, or as this new Undertaker Taunt Druid, because some of your resources which in the past haven't been as valuable as combo pieces, they were instead used, more for defensive options, are now critical to your game plan if you're playing around both silence and transform effects. So I'm going to have this replay just running in the background, so feel free to watch through that. Essentially, as I talk, I'm just going to let this play through, and then there's only 2 points of the actual replay I want to highlight. But so, for anyone who's interested, this is what HS Replay, tracked for his cards. It seems like a fairly standard Odd Warrior list, and then I'm going to pull up our list right here. So, with Taunt Druid, the game plan is that you survive, the early and mid game just through ramping, and, you have Ferocious Howl that gives you armor. Branching Paths can give you armor. You have Oaken Summons, which gives you armor and also summons you a minion. And you have Spellstones if you're against, super aggressive opponents to use as removal pieces. You have Naturalizes against, a turn 4 Giant or something from Warlock. And essentially, through your early and mid game, you're just trying to survive. Going into the late game, you play Malfurion, you get the better hero power, that's really, really good. You get to play Lich King, so that's a big threat. You get to play Warbears and Undasta. Undasta into a Warbear can be an incredibly powerful tempo swing, because you get two Rush minions, which both can, trade, and then you're also left with a Taunt body, so that's pretty cool. And aside from that, you just survive through your mid game and early game, and then after that, you can go off with your combo. And if you managed all your resources correctly throughout this, throughout the mid game, then your infinite combo essentially should have no answer. In this version of Undertaker Taunt Druid, the perfect world of how your combo goes is, throughout some point in the game, you Oaken Summons out some Astral Tigers, they die, so that their death rattle goes into the Undertaker pool. You also can, play some Taunt minions, so you play these guys. You get some Warbears out with Undasta, or just by, naturally playing them. You can get Taunt tokens from here. This list that we ran doesn't run Spreading Plague, but now that you aren't confined to running Witching Hour, you can run Spreading Plague to be a good anti-aggro tool. But essentially, you just play some taunts. You, at turn 10 or any turn, where you have 10 mana, you go Hadronox Naturalize. This will allow your Hadronox Death Rattle to go off instantly. There's no real counterplay to it, aside from hand disruption, which isn't super common in the game right now. So on turn 10, you go Hadronox Naturalize. That will kill off your Hadronox. You get a board full of whatever taunt minions died. Typically, your first Hadronox gives you 3 to 4 minions. If you're really lucky, maybe you can get, a full board out of it. But essentially, you need to Hadronox and then Naturalize instantly to play around any silence, any transform effects, because you need the Hadronox Death Rattle to go into your Undertaker's Battle Cry. So, now you're at a point in the game where you've Hadronoxed and Naturalized, and essentially you're pretty close to closing out the game. Things can happen, they can play some cards, whatever. You have a full board of taunts, and then you can go Undertaker, which Perfect World will have double Astral Tiger and Hadronox Death Rattles. So you play the Undertaker, and then you either fully upgraded Spellstone it, because it only has 5 health, so 6 will kill it. That triggers the Death Rattle. You shuffle 2 more Undertakers into your deck, and then get a full board of taunts. Or you can, if you have the second Naturalize, you can also Naturalize it. This makes sure that your Undertaker can't get Transform Effect silenced, and allows you to get multiple copies into your deck, so that you evade fatigue, and if they somehow clear your full board you just got, you have at least 2 more full boards of taunt minions coming. Now, this brings up an important point of, managing your resources, because in older versions of Taunt Druid, the Jasper Spellstones were mostly just an anti-aggro tool. It comes in handy that in control matchups it can deal up to 6 damage, so you can kill some, randomly bigger things. But with this new version of the deck, Spellstone no longer is just a defensive card. It's now actively part of your combo plan, and if you don't have at least one Spellstone going into the late game at 6 damage, if you're against a control deck or something that you feel has, the chance to run both silence or transform effects, if you don't have a Spellstone or another Naturalize after you've gone off with your Hadronox going into the late game, there's very, that makes your game plan much more difficult. Essentially, with your first Undertaker, you have to be able to kill it off instantly so that it can avoid both transform and silence effects. That makes sense. It's the same principle as your Hadronox. However, especially, which is shown in this game against Warrior, Odd Warrior typically runs double Owl. So that's 2 silences that you know that you have to play around. And then they also run Zola, which is something that during this match I didn't consider. And so they're able to Zola another silence. This means that if you don't instantly kill off your Undertakers, they have answers to 3 of them. And that's a lot of different answers to essentially your entire game plan. There's ways to play around that, which would be killing your Undertaker off the second you play it, which does happen in this game. However, I play one Undertaker after I go off, so let's skip ahead a little bit. I think it's right here, yeah. So right here on this turn, he does some stuff. I'm aware he has this silence in hand. I don't remember why, but I had a read that he had silence, and even if you don't have a read that he has the silence in hand, you should be playing around silence if you're against Odd Warrior. So this turn, I play my Undertaker. It gets the Astral Tiger, and Hadronox Death Rattle, and then I Spellstone it. As you can tell earlier, if we go back a couple turns, we had this double Spellstone here. Now, it's important to keep in mind that at some point, right here, I waste a Spellstone because I think I'm at a potential to overdraw because my hand is full. This is a seemingly not important kind of innocuous decision just to potentially not mill my Hadronox, which is really important. But this Spellstone comes in as the MVP of this game for this warrior. It turns out something that I've learned through this game is you actually need to not only be able to kill off your first Undertaker, because this will shuffle 2, you need to have a way when you play another Undertaker to kill your second one as well. So when you kill your first Undertaker, 2 shuffle in. Next turn you draw 1 more. You play this one out, you kill it instantly, you shuffle 2 more. You now have 3 in your deck. And you get a full board. At this point in this game, he's already used 1 owl. I know he has another owl, and then he also Zola's an owl. So he has 3 total silences, but one of them he already used, so he has 2 total silences. If I was able to kill this this second Undertaker off, I would have 3 Undertakers in my deck slash hand, and he only has 2 silences. So I eventually win out because he runs out of answers to my threats. Eventually one of them will stick, not get silenced, and be able to trade and make me evade fatigue, give me more infinite Undertakers, and also give me full boards. However, I didn't recognize that in this newer Undertaker list, Spellstone is a very key card. So earlier in the game, I had wasted it, and not having that resource led me to lose this game. Simply because he's able to. I played this Undertaker out, he silences it, he Zolas. I only have 1 Undertaker left, which I then draw, but if I ever play it, I get silenced back. So this puts our game from essentially unlosable to I cannot play this Undertaker because it will get silenced, so I have to have a way to kill it. The only cards in your deck which you can play that kill the Undertaker the turn that it's played are a fully upgraded Spellstone, a Naturalize, or something that could have happened in this game, which is RNG dependent, but comes up quite a bit. Your Lich Kings that you resurrect can give you Obliterate. So Obliterate will do the same job. It will kill your Undertaker instantly and help you, evade silence and stuff like that. So my only out after I had wasted my Spellstone, because I'd already used, at this point in the game, this is my hand. This is my entire deck. I have no cards in deck, I'm taking fatigue, and I have no way to kill the Undertaker. If at any point in the game I was able to save that second Spellstone, or if I was able to save the second Naturalize, I'd be able to play this, kill it with whichever card I have, shuffle 2 more in, and he only has 1 silence left. So I now have more Undertakers than he has answers, or at least direct answers, because, he could potentially mind control deck, stuff like that. But purely, pure answers, I'm now outvaluing him, and I would win in the late game. But because I wasted my Spellstone earlier, because I was trying to get greedy with my Nourish draws, and I didn't think that the Spellstone resource would be important, I've now thrown a game which should have been like a completely free win. Odd Warrior versus Undertaker Druid is like a 95% win matchup. There's almost no way you can lose. And it's important to recognize this because that means that the fact that I lost means I did something wrong. There's a lot of games in Hearthstone, you do things wrong, there's lots of decision points. But, some games, it's easy to go, hey, I did everything I could, and, sometimes RNG doesn't work out for me, or he had, like, a good swing turn, I just couldn't do anything about it, and it's easy to chalk up losses like that. But it's important, especially in matches where you realize that you've, kind of thrown away a lot of advantages, because we got, not only would it have been able, like, it would have been correct, and we would have easily been able to play around this situation, with 1 Spellstone or 1 Naturalize, we also were like given a pretty big advantage because he wasted one of his 2 Owls earlier in the game on a Natural Tiger for seemingly no reason. So essentially, he was already at a disadvantage to get his 1 out, which would be silencing all my Undertakers, and even with that, I still, forced myself into a situation where I was stuck. And I'm getting a little rambly, so I'm gonna try and cut myself off right there. But essentially, the point of this video was that I wanted to explain how important your resources are, and try not to get greedy with draw with this deck. You have a ton of cycle, and sometimes it feels like you really need to get to things faster. But in this list, which is different than this is different than it was in the old Witching Hour Cube lists. Spellstone is no longer just a defensive tool. It's actually an active combo piece, which you essentially need if you're going to be playing around transform and silence effects. Going into the late game, you have to naturalize your Hadronox, so that's one of your 4 resources that can kill a Undertaker gone. So then you have 3 left. As in a perfect world, you can save all 3. In imperfect worlds, you have to save at least 1. You need at least your first Undertaker to go off. If it's susceptible to silence, then or transform, then you open yourself up to lose very easily. And hopefully you're able to save 2 of these 3 resources left. These Naturalize and Spellstones, even though they look like 1-mana cards, they're just there to help you get through the early game maybe. These are critical to your late game plan, and as many of them as you're able to save for this late game plan, the better. And that's the main takeaway I want to take from analyzing this game. So this was a match from the Heroic Tavern Brawl video. In the description box, I'm going to link to that video, also with a timestamp of this specific match. So if you want, you can go see it play out. See if there were maybe other lines that we could have taken if you want to take the time for that. But essentially, this video, I just want to explain the importance of your resources in Taunt Druid and make sure that we really, put it into our minds that Spellstone and Naturalize, these four cards right here, are essentially the most important piece of our combo late game. Because the only way that you lose is if your Undertaker or your Hadronox gets silenced or transformed. And so you have plenty of ways to play around that. It's just a matter of time. We had to learn that you have to save these resources because it's not inherently like you don't look at this list and instantly think, oh yeah, dude, I need all four of these resources for my late game. You look at Spellstone, your instinct is, oh well, this is good versus aggro. I'll just use it to clear some minions, save some face damage, stuff like that. But just make sure that you keep these combo pieces for the late game, and your win rate with Undertaker Druid should go way higher, especially in heavier control matchups where the multiple silences or transform effects come into play. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's anything else that I kind of missed, or if my message didn't come across super clearly. I really hope it did. Make sure to check out the video with this match live. So if you want to see that, that'll be in the description box. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.